Laissez-faire, or hands-off capitalism, is the idea that the government should not interfere in the country's economics. People like Adam Smith believe that the less the government got involved in economics, the more the nation's economy would thrive. Smith hated the government regulations like enforcing minimum wage and higher taxes. In his book, Wealth of Nations, Smith argued that regulating commerce was counterproductive to economic growth. If the main goal of the nation was to maximize their wealth, the government needed to stop regulating the flow of goods in and out of the nation. Although the economy did flourish under limited government interference, the overwhelming majority of this wealth only affected the top 1% of society.
Over the course of the Gilded Age, the American economy saw a growth of over 400%. Big business brought massive amounts of wealth to America, but it also caused lots of problems for working people. One of these problems was a monopoly. A monopoly occurred when a company had complete control over an entire industry. Therefore, they faced no outside competition from other businesses, so they had absolute power to inflate over their prices. This hurt the overall well-being of the economy and hurt consumers. To combat the scourge of monopolies, the Sherman Antitrust Act was passed in 1890, making monopolies illegal.
Holding companies and trusts were large partnerships that are formed by competing companies to gain control of the market without violating any anti-monopoly laws. Another economic problem the Gilded Ages were pools. In a pool or cartel, industrial competitors made informal or gentlemen's agreements about production levels and pricing. Critics charged that these violated the competitive principles of the marketplace. Entrepreneurs of the era would stop at nothing to enrich themselves. Jay Gould, for example, often watered stocks and bribed officials. He would earn his fortune by controlling the stocks of the railways he owned. He owned parts of many railroads, including the Union Pacific Railroad and Saratoga Railway.
Henry Ford was another influential man who changed the economy. He sold the first affordable car to ordinary Americans by using the assembly line. He received criticism for his battles against labor unions, yet he attempted to treat his workers well. He raised the wages to $5 a day, which was a large amount for the time. He did not engage in trusts or suppress his competition.
Andrew Carnegie led the expansion of American steel industry in the late 19th century. Being an industrialist and a business magnate, he is identified as one of the richest people. His business, the Carnegie Steel Corporation, was the largest in the world. He later sold his business to focus on philanthropy, however, which included the establishment of Carnegie Mellon University in 1904.
J.P. Morgan was an extremely powerful banker, often called the banker's banker. He financed railroads and helped organize major corporations like United States Steel and General Electricity, taking control when the companies were at their weakest and making them extremely powerful. Morgan also helped stabilize the economy during crises like the Panic of 1907. As a consequence of United States expansion, railroads had to be reorganized and consolidated. Through clever financial footwork, he eventually came to control a sixth of all American railroads.
Should the entrepreneurs of the Gilded Age be considered robber barons who exploited the working class to amass their wealth, or captains of industry who ushered the American economy into the modern age? Although industrialists in the Gilded Age created lasting wealth for Americans, their ruthless business practices symbolized a larger moral issue in American society. Businessmen at the time would go to any means necessary to enrich themselves. John D. Rockefeller, the founder of Standard Oil Company, eventually controlled 90% of the oil market. Rockefeller created this monopoly with ruthless techniques, like coercing other companies to merge with Standard Oil at the threat of being run out of business, or by making secret agreements with railroad companies to knock out competition. Massive companies like Standard Oil preyed on little startups in order to maintain their power. Business tycoons weren't all bad, though. Big business served as the catalyst for unprecedented economic growth. Total national wealth America rose from $16 billion in 1860 to $88 billion at the turn of the century. Although the majority of this newfound wealth went to the upper class, it opened up a multitude of opportunities for the working classes. Vast new industrial opportunities in urban areas led to a 20% rise in Americans living in cities. These new opportunities created long-lasting wealth that benefited most Americans, no matter their economic class.